any other ideas or things you want to talk about your formulation?
I do. I have two things. One of them, we didn't really talk about the difference between like capsules and tinctures, like liquid
Right, you did.
tinctures.
Yeah.
Very first question, I meant to also mention that as well. That's something that stands out with Cool Queen.
Mhm.
When we were doing product research, there are herbal products for perimenopause, but they're mostly capsules. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like capsules. Kaitlyn was watching me the other day. I had a ton of capsules and I'm just breaking them apart and pouring them in my drink because I just don't like taking them. And then also, the absorption is a lot better when it's in liquid tincture form.
Hi, I'm Missy Macholka, the menopause midwife. I'm here to break down all the things about menopause and hormones that seem overly complicated, which is pretty much everything. With over 10 years of experience catching babies and 2 decades of intuitive massage therapy practice, I have spent the last few years deep diving into all things menopause to figure out why so many women are suffering and why there seems to be so much confusion about hormones and menopause. Calling on my midwifery experience and my desire to help women attain and maintain full autonomy, I will stay next to you during this life transition and help to explain the options as you step into your power and find optimal health.
All right. Hello, my lovelies. Herbs have always held a sacred place in my heart. From the time I was little, following my mom around every health food store in Southern California, where she worked as a vitamin sales rep, to years later, when I was trained by the late Catherine Miller, my mentor, midwife, and master herbalist. I'll never forget the reverence Catherine brought to every drop of tincture. This is powerful stuff, she'd say with a raise of her eyebrow. And she was right. In the birthing world, we danced between blue and black cohosh to coax babies earthside or wake up a stalling labor. But today, we're not talking about birth. We're talking about what comes after. The hormonal shifts, the late night sweats, the what is even happening to my body phase that is perimenopause and menopause. And for that, there's a whole new kind of herbal toolkit and 2 women who are bringing it to life. Kaitlyn Cranor and Raychel Clark are the co-founders of Bad B Botanicals. Together, they created Cool Queen. What a great name. I love it. A liquid herbal blend designed to support hot flashes and hormonal shifts. But what really excites me is that this isn't just a product, it's part of a bigger vision, a community hub, a space for education and healing, and a bridge between women and practitioners. Neither Kaitlyn nor Raychel claims to be a perimenopause expert, but I'd argue that their blend of real life experience, deep plant knowledge, and emotional wisdom is exactly what our community needs more of. Raychel is a Reiki master with over a decade of experience blending energy work, emotional intelligence, and coaching. Kaitlyn has explored plant medicine through her own healing journey, pairing belief work and mindfulness with deep dives into the earth's pharmacy. So today we're talking about plant medicine, not the psychedelic kind, but the grounded, practical, hormone supportive kind. The kind that works with your body, helping you to feel at home again in your skin, and how belief, energy, and herbal allies can come together to support one of the most transformational seasons of a woman's life. Stick around till the end, too, because Kaitlyn and Raychel are inviting a few lucky listeners to review their product and give direct feedback. And most of us never get a chance to weigh in on what a product does and how it actually feels, and let alone shape it from the inside out and chat directly to the owners and founders. Welcome, Kaitlyn and Raychel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Missy.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. So, I'd love to start with the spark that started it all. What made you two say we need to build this brand? What gap were you seeing or feeling that Bad B Botanicals was created to fill?
Rachel and I knew each other well before we founded Bad B Botanicals. And I'm actually a part owner of a dietary supplement manufacturing facility. So we co-manufacture herbal supplements for other companies.
Okay.
We focus primarily on manufacturing liquid supplements. And I honestly, being a part of that has changed my life so much. And I really fell in love with entrepreneurship. And I wanted to continue to grow and expand and learn more about entrepreneurship and creating nothing from into something and creating value for the world. So I was kind of for a long time thinking about how I could do that. And it just kind of intuitively happened that yes, I'm a part of this manufacturing facility already, and we have the resources and the capabilities to expand and build our own brand and product line. And so I went to Raychel with this idea and it just kind of fell into place. And that's really how it happened in terms of the founding of Bad B Botanicals. And we've come up with so many ideas in terms of growing the community and making it more about it is about the product, yes, but it really is more about like the community and the message and the mission behind Bad Bee, which we can talk more about. But Rach, I don't know if you want to add a couple
Yeah,
other notes on there.
definitely resonate with everything Kaitlyn's saying. I've always dabbled in entrepreneurship. So, like, over the years of working in this industry, manufacturing dietary supplements, I've had a lot of friends and family ask about products to help support perimenopause, menopause, hot flashes, the whole change. So I knew that was a need. And then it also kind of like hit some heartstrings for me because I kind of woke up to like the holistic health realm of things through some family members that had health issues that really stemmed from hormonal issues. So that's really what woke me up to even, anything, food, mental, emotional health, that kind of thing. So that's what opened the doors for me. So I was really excited when Kaitlyn came to me with this idea because it really kind of brought me back to the beginning of my journey and what started me out. I did health coaching for a while, all the Reiki and the energy work. It gets to blend to, my experience in the manufacturing field. So it's just really exciting to get to blend all that together and help women out there that are, struggling with this thing that I've seen so many women struggle with.
Thank you for letting us know about the manufacturing side of that. A lot of people have ideas, but they don't know how to bring it to the market. And you've been able to have this idea and then bring it forward with your passion behind it. And I think that's really amazing. And you both said that you don't claim to be perimenopause or menopause experts, but your combo of like lived experience, energy work, and plant wisdom, it's pretty powerful. So, what are you most proud of with the Cool Queen formulation?
One thing I'm most proud of is I feel like it really stands out from other products on the market, which I don't feel like there's a lot of products on the market for perimenopause, but it's not only a hormone supporting blend, but it also targets the symptom of hot flashes. And we do have plans to expand our line and, target other symptoms. But right now, the Cool Queen is obviously more for hot flashes. And, it's not a quick fix. You definitely have to over time balance those hormones in order, for hot flashes to reduce. I haven't seen other products on the market that balance the hormones and target a specific symptom.
Yeah, because you'll see things like you'll see sage by itself or you'll see vitex by itself, but you don't see I've never seen anything with your combination before. I think it was pretty brilliant. And I know that we're going to get into that a little more and kind of maybe chat about which systems each herb kind of touches in order to support that hormonal system in our bodies. And one thing I want to say, Kaitlyn and Rachel and I are going to have some back and forth questions. They're going to ask me some questions too, because they have some questions about perimenopause and menopause as well. One thing that I do want to talk about is before we dive into the mechanics of it, is the difference between taking herbs and kind of being in a relationship with them. Like what you were saying earlier, Rachel, was like just that it's not a quick fix. This is like earthborn nourishment. And so, like, how do you help women kind of feel the difference? Because it's hard in our very instant society to say to someone, okay, this is going to have to build up in your system for a little while before you
Mhm.
really notice. And the changes might be subtle. So, do you guys have some language around that for women, helping them?
It does make me think about, like, the difference between over the counter or pharmaceuticals versus herbs and plants and even, supplements. I feel like herbs are a very kinda, like, feminine, romantic type of feel to them. They have a presence to them, and you use your senses, when it's not the tincture, but out, plants, we use your senses to really connect with them. And it brings us back to our roots. It grounds us. And there's also so much history and kind of this tribal nature to plants. It's a very intuitive type of thing. Just really settling into your body and listening to your body. Like you mentioned, in this society, we don't really do that much. We got to learn how to slow down and how to really sit and feel and listen to our body. It's a very intuitive type of thing. And I think women are very intuitive. So it's important that we kind of get back to that. Kaitlyn, I'm not sure if you have anything you wanted to add to that.
The thing that came to my mind when you asked that question, Missy, it really kind of brought me to the overall mission of Bad B Botanicals, which is empower women to heal themselves naturally. And yes, you can do that through physical things like a tincture product such as Cool Queen. And I do think that really has some validity into the healing process. But as going back to Raychel, I do really think a lot of it does come into learning how to listen to our body and whatever symptom is coming up for that person. It's my belief that they are able to heal that symptom without anything external of them. It's just a matter of, like, again, like Raychel said, slowing down, paying attention, and then coming back into alignment with whatever is out of alignment. This really, I think, just stems from, I don't know if you're familiar with Ayurveda, Missy. Are you
A
at
little
all?
bit, yeah.
I'm not an expert in Ayurveda as well, but it talks a lot about how all disease stems from the mind. And there's this really amazing book. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit later, but the practice is that anything that manifests physically, really the root of it is your like subconscious thinking and thoughts, beliefs, etc. And all of that can be healed just through becoming aware and then bringing it back into alignment.
Piggyback off of what Kaitlyn just said, I feel like having something like a tincture, an herbal tincture, it's a vehicle, it's a tool to get back to everything Kaitlyn was basically talking about. So yes, you don't need anything outside of yourself. I firmly believe that too. But you start taking this tincture, you really start paying attention to your body a lot more. And it's kind of a bridge to start, listening to your body, understanding those subconscious things that are going on that might be, sparking some of these symptoms. And we just launched our social medias and we've been having so much fun creating these ridiculous skits. And some of the skits are around messages from the body during these perimenopause times. So just got to throw that out there because we've had so much fun coming up with some skits for these things.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. I did not get a chance to look into those before we interviewed today, so I will have to take a peek at those. But I do want to touch on what you were talking about the Ayurveda and us being able to heal ourselves. I really do believe that as well. And one of the things I want to make sure that my listeners hear, though, is that it's not all in your head, because that's a different message than what's coming from Ayurveda. And what
Yeah.
I want to just really point out is that this is about bodily autonomy. And the only way we can have autonomy is if we listen to our bodies and hear the messages from our bodies. So if our body is saying to us, hey, I'm really struggling here with some anxiety and hot flashes, and my joints are hurting, and I'm postmenopausal, I probably need to be talking to someone about some hormones. And that's wisdom that your body is giving you. That isn't saying it's in your head and you just sit there and do nothing about it. Or if you're perimenopausal, which I really think your product is going to be really substantial in the perimenopause, in the early perimenopausal stage. So that's kind of when you first start feeling a little weird, your period starts to get a little funky, you have your first hot flash, but you don't have another one for another month or so. That's the time frame I think that the herbs can come in really handy and just support those systems really, really well before we're needing to add in hormones. But I also think that for some women, being on your hormones and then adding in the herbs too, it's not a bad idea. You can always check it out and see how you feel. Plants are incredibly powerful. And I'm going to go a little off track here for a second. I was trained by a master herbalist, and she was trained, and so was I also by her mentor, the great Paula Tipton Healy. If anybody knows who she is, she's phenomenal. And she still works in San Diego as a midwife. And she is a master homeopath. And so I learned about herbs in plants in heavy doses, which is herbs, and plants in minuscule doses, which is homeopathy. And both ways are incredibly powerful. So, in this idea of listening to yourself and hearing and healing from within, you can find out what works for your body. It is so interesting if you sit and you listen, or you're talking to someone and something resonates with you. That to me is what that word is about. If it resonates with you and someone's talking to you and you're like, wow, okay, are they a good salesperson or is this resonating with me? And I think
Mhm.
it's really important to be able to discern between the 2. And so that's what my mission, and I don't know if you ladies know this, but I know my listeners mostly know this, is radical autonomy.
Mm.
We just need to believe in ourselves and trust ourselves and educate ourselves just enough so that we can make good decisions for our bodies. And I think that that's what we're here to do today is help women understand about these herbs so they can be like, that resonates with me or that doesn't resonate with me. And that's okay either way. But then you have more information and it might resonate with someone else that you can share it with. And that's really a beautiful thing. So
Mm.
thank you for going with me down that crazy track. Let's talk about the support systems that make our hormones. So I admit I did have to make a cheat sheet for this because there are a lot of systems and a lot
Mhm.
of complementary herbs to support these systems. And there are a lot of herbs in your product. So, just so listeners don't feel like they need to get out a pen and paper, I will have my list in the resources, OHM 406, the website, for you to grab anytime. Okay. So, don't feel like you have to memorize this. But I think that Raychel and Kaitlyn, with their formulation, they can really help dig into this with us and help us understand how these herbs can help every system. So, I was hoping we could start with the ovaries and how herb or herbs you guys feel like I have a little cheat sheet for myself, but I just
Okay.
love to hear from you how you chose the herbs that were gonna support the ovaries.
So I came up with like a base formulation, and then we hired a master herbalist that also specializes in hormone balance. And she really helped us come up with this beautiful formulation. We kept some of my original ideas, but she definitely brought in, herbs that are cooling for the hot flashes and all kinds of stuff, which I know we'll get into. So we really relied on her expertise to come up with this formula. But as far as the ovaries go, I would think that vitex berry is the main one to support the ovaries. I kind of chunked them up for this conversation with like endocrine and hormone production is mainly the black cohosh and the vitex berry. And then we have, nervine type of herbs that just, help relax things. And that is blue vervain and black cohosh kind of has some of those qualities too, because it relaxes the muscles. And we also have liver function support, and that's with the dandelion. And then, of course, we do have some herbs in there that actually target more of the hot flash or have cooling, nourishing effects, like red clover has a very cooling effect. Sage also targets more hot flashes. We actually threw in some magnesium too, which is great for hot flashes. So,
Yeah. And it's also great magnesium is also great for pushing hormones down the better metabolic pathways, like the metabolic detox pathways. So,
amazing.
good choice on there. So that's a little reminder to my listeners. The lowest hanging fruit for metabolizing your hormones the best way you can, whether you're taking herbs or hormones or both, please make sure you're taking a complex magnesium. Like Bioptimizers is my favorite magnesium breakthrough. But the ladies at Bad B thought of this and threw it into their formula. So you're brilliant. If you've tried magnesium before and thought, I didn't really notice much, it's probably because you weren't getting the right kind or enough of the magnesiums. So magnesium breakthrough by Bioptimizers is different. It contains 7 of the 11 forms of magnesium that your body needs. So it supports everything from muscle relaxation and better sleep to healthy digestion to calming your stress response. But what else it does is that it helps your body to metabolize your hormones. This is super absorbable. It's not just cheap forms that pass right through you. This is one of my go to supplements for anyone who's feeling tense, wired but tired, or stuck in stress mode. It's like giving your nervous system a deep breath, and your hormone metabolism is part of that. So you can grab it directly from me at ohm406.com. Just search magnesium breakthrough. I do like to make this disclaimer here. This is not a supported ad at all. This is just a product that I absolutely love. It is one of the more affordable magnesiums, too. So, super high quality, high value. If you are like, what is that one last missing piece? I feel pretty good, but I'm not feeling optimal. Throw this magnesium on there. Once you finish up whatever's in your cupboard, throw this one in. See if you feel different. I have a feeling you might be well. One thing I was thinking when I was looking everything up, I forget if there's maca in your formula. Is there maca?
Not this one.
No.
No.
Not
Okay.
this.
All
There,
right.
you can expect that to be in possibly a libido blend later.
Okay. All right. Good to know. We'll
It's
just leave that for
a little Missy, may I ask you a question
sure.
about something you said just a little bit
Sure.
earlier? I just don't understand the verbiage
Okay.
here, the terminology. When you say metabolizing
Mhm.
hormones, what is that and what is that function?
Okay.
What's happening?
Great question. So, our hormones need to come into our body. If we're putting in exogenous hormones, we need to put them into our bodies. We need to metabolize through them, and then we need to excrete them. So, there are different, and this is for endogenous and exogenous. So, listeners, remember endogenous are the ones that our bodies make for ourselves, exogenous are the ones we put in from the outside. And so, either way, we have our bodies metabolize through different pathways. They metabolize our hormones through different pathways. I'm going to talk specifically about estrogen because it has three possible different pathways. And one of those pathways is the good pathway. So I call it too good to be true. And then the second one is the 4 pathway, and that one is it can be okay, but it's not great. And then there's the 16 pathway, and we call that the not so sweet 16 pathway. That is the one where if you metabolize down that pathway, you're gonna be a little more inclined to be prone to maybe some negative effects from the hormones, like maybe feeling hyperestrogenic. I know a lot of people like to use the term estrogen dominant. So where you're gonna just have that buildup of estrogen in your body instead of it clearing nicely from your body. So what magnesium and things like diindole methane, which is a broccoli extract, things like that can help us push down the 2 pathway, which is the pathway we really want our hormones to metabolize down. We are born with the pathways that we metabolize down, and we don't know which ones we have unless we take a Dutch test. It's a dried urine test. It's pretty expensive to do that. It does give you information for sure about how you metabolize, but regardless, you can use these things to help push your metabolism towards the most positive excretory path. So that is always our goal. Any hormones that are in our body, it's our goal is to excrete them. So we only want them in our bodies for a short period of time. I think the half-life is, and if somebody's super nerdy out there, please correct me. But I think the half-life is something like 24 hours for exogenous. It's super fun. I love metabolic pathways. I'm not super nerdy about it. I try to keep it all at a super understandable level. So I don't use all of the bigger words about it because even myself, I get a little lost in all of it. It can be very, very complex. But I have a chart that I have made, and I'll have Denise, my VA, put that in our show notes. I'll have her link to it, where we talk about the different detox pathways. And then we also talk about how to clear them and how to help push without having to
Mhm.
do a detox. I am not one of those people who believes that you have to do a detox before you treat. And so, because I think we often feel like garbage so much that we can't go and feel like more garbage, which is what a detox does to us. and then hope that we have enough energy to start replacing or replenishing or supporting our systems after we've gone through all of that. A lot of times, and it's women are just exhausted from perimenopause, from postpartum, perimenopause, and menopause. And we need to just support those systems right away. And then we can work on the detox pathways. Very different than doing a traditional detox. We support the detox pathways while we are using the products. So either the herbs, the hormones, or both.
One question I have from what you said there, you mentioned the metabolic pathways and detox pathways. Now, are those the same thing?
Yeah, it's kind of an interchangeable term. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
You're welcome. No problem. What are some of the other herbs in your formula? Maybe we could go through each herb in your formula and maybe we can just say what each thing does so that we can really give the listeners a sense of what your product comprises of and how it's supporting their system. Would that work?
Okay, so of course we have black cohosh. That's the queen bee, I would like to say, of this formula. Like you said, it does many things, but it kind of gives this phytoestrogen response in the body, which helps support like serotonin levels. And then we have vitex berry, which encourages that hormone balance and it signals more of a progesterone production. So we have more of an estrogen, type of response in the body and more of a progesterone type of response in the body between those two herbs. And then more specific to liver function, which maybe that's something you can speak on as far as like how that affects these symptoms. I'd love to hear more about that. But we have dandelion root, which helps, clear and flush the liver and helps reduce heat and irritability in the body. And then, of course, we have more of the hot flash specific herbs. So that's sage. I feel like is the main one that it aids in reduction of excessive perspiration and it's very
Hmm.
cooling. Black cohosh also, for my research, helps reduce the hot flashes in the body. And then red clover is very nourishing and very cooling. And then we have blue vervain, which is also very cooling, but that's more of a nervine. And let's see, the only other ingredient that I didn't mention that here is magnesium,
Right.
which we talked about.
And then that's going to just help us with bring the whole package together.
I was just gonna say the cherry on top because we like to keep it fun and,
Yes.
cool queen style. We decided we wanted to put blue spirulina extract as a cherry on
Ooh.
top because blue spirulina extract, it does have some medicinal properties
Wow.
to it as well. It's really high in antioxidants, but it's kind of stemmed from, we want Cool Queen to have kind of that playful vibe to it as
Love it.
well. So it's just gonna be a dark blue product, really. So it's yeah,
That's
just wanted to add that in there.
awesome. I love that. That is so fun. And I just want to say really quick, we're going to be talking about the difference between progesterone and progestins. And I just want to say that there is so much confusion about those words. And so, what I always like to encourage women to remember is that progesterone ending with ONE is the one that you want in your body. Progestins are non bioidentical progesterones. So when we're talking about progesterone stimulating, that's going to be what the herbs are doing is they're going to be stimulating progesterone, not progestins. And so I just want to bring that together so that we're all saying the same words. I was at my doctor's the other day getting my pap smear. Everybody get your pap smears every year. Don't wait 5, please. It's really important. And even my doctor was using the word progestin for progesterone. And I was like, okay, I have to really start helping women really remember this only because they're very different molecules. And so as we remember, progesterone sits in that receptor while progestin sits on the outside of the receptor. It does some good things, but it doesn't do all the good things that progesterone does for us. So I love that your product has some progesterone support as well. So great job on that. What caveats or fair warnings do you like to give women when they start your product? Like with hormone replacement, I always tell women, I'm like, if you skip days and forget here and there, and then remember and then forget, take more because you think that's going to do better if you forgot yesterday. I always like them to know that they will hate me if they do that because it will make them feel terrible and cause, like,
Mhm.
perimenopausal symptoms. Now, I know herbs are different, so do you give women any kind of guidance or direction? I know you can't prescribe it, but what are the best practices for using your product?
I would just say, like your recommendations, Missy, we just recommend that women stay consistent with the product because with it being a herbal supplement, it will take time to
Mhm.
see effects of the product working. And that means it's really important to stay consistent and disciplined in taking the product, every day. And our herbalist did recommend that after some weeks of taking the product, they should take breaks as well. And I think that really just helps. That's kind of the guidance we want to give to women who take not only Cool Queen, but really any dietary supplement product to help with symptoms
Mhm.
is really consistency is key.
Absolutely. Yeah, consistency is key, and I think I'm guessing that the herbalist who helped you with that is talking about it like because when we tonify and we're using, like, a tonic is what you're doing because 'cause you're using it kind of over a long period of time. What I remember is that we would have women take a break from something that if they were gonna take it over a course of a long time because it freshens those receptors. And so
Mm.
that's how you come back in and your body recognizes it again, but those receptors are ready to take on a little more. Not as in more of a higher dose, but more in it's absorbing and using more instead of flooding those receptors consistently. Now, I just want to be really clear that that is different with hormones. You do not take a break with hormones because if you do, you will feel like garbage because your receptors will be empty and you will cause massive dips in your hormones. However, with herbs and something that is a toner, a tonic, then you can go ahead and take little breaks here and there. But consistency is key because you're trying to build up that tone with the herbs, and so you wanna do that, and then when you take a break, make it intentional, and then make it intentional to start back up so that you're not taking it for 2 days, forgetting for 3, and things like that. So, yeah, I think that sounds really great because some herbs you can use acutely, that for certain things, so you'd only use those for a short period of time. This product is more used over a long period of time from what I'm understanding. And from the formulation, it looks like a tonic to me, which is
Mhm.
wonderful. Can you tell me how it tastes?
I'll be transparent here. So we're just finishing up the first batch of our product. I think Rachel and I were going to work on it with her husband a little bit today. He's going to help us with one of the final steps
Mhm.
of producing the product, but we're going to incorporate natural flavors
Okay.
into it as well, just organic extracts like fruit
Mhm.
extracts. And the idea that we had in mind, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out quite yet, but it's a berry citrus vanilla dream
Mm.
is the flavor profile we're gonna shoot for.
Okay.
So those flavors will ideally complement the herbs,
Mhm.
so we can still taste the herbal product as well,
Mhm.
but it'll just with the formula that we have, it'll be quite bitter if we don't really add any sort of just little sprinkle of magic in there.
Yes.
And so I think that's really important to Rachel and I that we do want to make a product that does taste really nicely because then it does help with women wanting to take it, be more consistent with it. So
Yeah.
that's important to us.
Very, very true. And like vitex tastes pretty good on it. Like it's as far as herbs go, it's not too bad in my opinion. But the other ones you have in there, yeah, they can be a little rough if they don't have some tempering with a little bit of flavor. Now, are you using like a glycerin in it? Are you doing alcohol based? What is your base?
It'll be about 70% glycerin. We are gonna keep some alcohol in it
Mhm.
to help with the absorption, but our extraction method is all with alcohol. And then
Mhm.
we end up evaporating out, a lot of the alcohol, condensing it down, and adding glycerin. So it's actually a very delicious tasting,
Yeah.
tincture just with the glycerin alone without us,
Yes.
playing around with the flavors. But yeah, it's really exciting. The herbs are actually where I am here, back in the sock slit, waiting to get in those little bottles.
That's awesome. If you've never taken herbs before, I just want to remind ladies this would be a great place to start trying herbs because, like they said, they're going to preserve the flavor of the herbs. They're not going to try to overpower it, but they're going to make it palatable. And herbs can be really, really strong. But you want your body to taste a little bit of bitter because that does help in the digestion process. We all know that. When you take something that's bitter or strong, just remember that that does signal to our brain that we can absorb it and bring it into our bodies. It just brings up the right kind of enzymes to go ahead and take care of that. So, or,
Right.
bring it to the right places. So I'm really excited to hear. I mean, glycerin makes any herb tolerable, in my opinion.
Yes.
And really, truly, ladies, the amount of, and gentlemen, the amount of alcohol that is left in a tincture that is made mostly with glycerin is minuscule. So you don't have to worry about getting drunk on it or anything like that. I was hoping that you guys can talk to me a little bit about your community and your support network. Like, what is this going to look like? I know you talked about your skits. What else is there for people?
I would say the one big thing that we're really excited about launching here pretty soon is our own podcast.
Nice.
It'll be called Body Said What. And we're going to start by launching maybe a 5-6 part series on perimenopause and menopause and we'll be speaking with experts such as like yourself, Missy. I'd love to have you on to do a deep dive of all the hormonal changes that women
That would
experience
be a blast.
during perimenopause. Yeah, that would be super fun. So really, I just want to create a series that's really valuable to women who are going through this time in their lives and provide all the information, like answer all the questions they've been wondering about. So that's kind of the first thing in terms of our community building. Now, another idea that Raychel and I have is taking Bad B Botanicals and expanding it not just by providing products to women, but also working with coaches, with nutritionists, with people who are way more experienced at helping women heal naturally than I can, and partnering with those individuals and offering resources to our audience.
Maybe like a resource finder in a way?
Kind of part of what we envision is, yes, like nutritionists, coaches. I can see maybe, some counselors or therapists being on there as
Mhm,
well, because I know that this change can bring some pretty dramatic things going on.
mhm.
Also affects mental health and all of that. I also see us hopefully maybe with the podcast bringing on women who have experienced this and really just giving perimenopause a voice because it's also not very talked about. It's starting to be more talked about, which is great, but other than just other products and services, it does not have to be Bad B products. We just want to highlight any resources that can help women through this change. And sometimes it's women's stories as well. So
Mm.
I kind of foresee kind of a community page on our Bad Bee Botanicals page where, yes, maybe there's, different practitioners you can find, therapists, that kind of thing, maybe a blog with stories. Of course, we'd be highlighting all of these professionals and stories and whatnot on our social media and through emails and yeah, just the whole shebang and anything that could help women during this time.
That's awesome. And I think one thing that as I was reading through your product and kind of your histories and stuff, one thing that I think is maybe an untapped section of women who are not really being served right now that might be well served by your product and especially by your support and your education is the woman who has had a baby late in life and she's in that intersection between postpartum and perimenopause. That is a crucial time for women to have support. So she's got a little kid, a baby, maybe a couple of little kiddos. She hasn't had a period in a couple of years and she's so busy and she starts feeling perimenopausal, but she doesn't know what it is because she just thinks she's tired. And she's probably
Oh,
tired. She's certainly tired. But it's all the other things too. So this would be once she's done breastfeeding, this formula would be a fantastic place to start and just really start supporting those adrenal glands again, supporting those ovaries. And just even if they're in their last gasps of perimenopause, we still need to support those systems and then supporting that liver, supporting the endocrine system, all of those things, because women are exhausted and depleted at that point. I can't think of a time in a woman's life that she's more depleted, especially if she's had her babies after 35. Forget it. She's just pooped. And so I think this is a really wonderful idea. And I plan on incorporating it into my practice with my women who are in that stage, who aren't quite ready for hormone replacement therapy, but they definitely need some support. So I
Mm.
don't know if you've looked at that yet, but that's my 2 cents about that.
No, that is beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you for that suggestion. And, I have 3 kids. I started very early. So, yeah, that's something that feels like, I can resonate more. I can relate more to that because, obviously me and Caitlin are both on the younger side. We have not, experienced perimenopause yet, but I have absolutely experienced the postpartum world and the
Mm.
babies. My youngest one is 3. So I can definitely resonate and only imagine what it would, be like also experiencing some perimenopause. So thank you for that. That's a
You're
great.
welcome. Hi, my lovelies. Let's talk hormones, shall we? After all, that's probably why you're here. If you are in early perimenopause, Bad B Botanicals Cool Queen is an incredible product for you. If you want to support your body as things start to shift, gently nudging your system to stay balanced. Once we're deep in the perimenopause or menopause pool, that's where I bring in what I call my holy trinity from Quicksilver Scientific. The DHEA that they carry, it's sublingual. That's your metabolism booster, your mood lifter, and your muscle preserver. It comes in a bottle like this. Then we have estriol. It comes in a little squirt bottle, a pump like this. That's a serum that goes right on the skin. That's the estrogen that clears the brain fog and keeps the skin glowing. I call it cheeks, chest, and coochie for a reason. So, right here above your breasts or on your vulva. Progesterone, the third part of that holy trinity. She's the one that brings the calm and helps you sleep like a baby. You can order this full trio and get my personal guidance at ohm406.com. There are links to shop directly and book a consult if you want, so we can set up the right plan for your body. When you buy your hormones from my site, you're directly supporting this podcast and helping me to keep hormone care accessible for more women. So thank you truly for shopping small and smart. Be well. Are there any other ideas or things you want to talk about your formulation?
I do. I have 2 things. One of them, we didn't really talk about the difference between like capsules and tinctures, like liquid
Right, you
tinctures.
did. Yeah.
Very first question, I meant to also mention that as well. That's something that stands out with Cool Queen. When we were doing product research, there are herbal products for perimenopause, but they're mostly capsules. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like capsules. Caitlin was watching me the other day. I had a ton of capsules and I'm just breaking them apart and pouring them in my drink because I just don't like taking them. And then also, the absorption is a lot better when it's in liquid tincture form. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure gets mentioned. Oh, I did want to mention this product isn't super crazy strong. It's a 1 to 5 ratio. So as far as, people starting out or just like you kind of mentioned like, maybe overclogging the receptors with something really strong. Our formula is a more gentle one. And it's definitely not a homeopathic remedy, but I feel like sometimes the body does a lot better with a more gentle herbal blend than something really strong. It doesn't override the body. It kind of listens to the body because it's more gentle and
Mhm.
support in a better way. So those are my 2 things I wanted to make sure got mentioned.
Definitely. I'm so glad you said something about tincture versus pill. It's actually in my rapid fire was I was gonna ask if you prefer tincture or pills and why. Because it's an absorption issue. Absolutely. We're avoiding first pass metabolism if we are going in the mouth. And if you really want to amp it up a little bit, you put it under your tongue and you let it go
Mhm.
into that mucous membrane. And some people say that herbs are too strong to do that. In that glycerin formula, I have a feeling it's gonna be just fine under the tongue. And then, like you said, being a 1 to 5, probably when you take that little break, it probably only needs to be 2 to 5 days would be my guess when you do your break. So, because it's so gentle, you're just gonna, like, let those receptors clear for a little bit after a couple of months, probably. It just really depends. Obviously, this is not diagnosis or treating or how to take it, people. We know you're all smart. You can make your own decisions for your body. But anyway, I love that it's a tincture and not pills because I've never been a huge fan. The only thing I like pill form on occasion is golden seal root in a pill that you open up and you put it on a baby's umbilicus after it's born, and it dries up those cords like nobody's business. And it's a natural antibacterial, antimicrobial, and it is the best thing in the universe. But if you're gonna take a tincture of golden seal, holy moly. Wow, it tastes like nothing else. It's not good. Great. Well, let's hit a rapid fire round. They're just for fun, so just go with your gut. If we wanna break them apart a little bit, we can for sure. Some of them are personal, some of them are more businessy, so I'm just gonna hit you with them. So, coffee or tea, ladies?
Neither. I am a matcha
Oh,
girl,
okay.
100% all the way.
Okay, I love it.
And I have to admit, I do coffee more than tea. I still love tea, but coffee, I don't skip a day. I usually drink some teas at night more for relaxing or a light detox, but I have to admit, it's coffee.
Yes, and I'm a decaf girl, but it's gotta always be super clean. But one of the little things I wanted to say, and the reason this question is on there, sorry, I'm killing the rapid fire part of this, is that it's a little known fact that both of these things are herbs. So,
Okay.
if you certain teas are, and coffee can be used as an herb as well, and it does help tonify. I don't think coffee is all bad. I actually think coffee can be really positive.
I will
Um
take it.
yeah, see, right? You're doing a good thing for yourself. What is your favorite herb to wildcraft, if you wildcraft? I'm guessing you both do or have had some experience with
Mm.
that.
No, I've never wildcrafted herbs, but I have kind of a little bit dabbled in mushrooms.
Oh,
Well, I will admit I've never picked the mushrooms because I'm not an expert in that either, and I don't want to pick the wrong mushroom and then die all of a sudden because I picked the wrong mushroom that looked
smart,
like a morel.
smart.
I love to look at all of them and the plants, of course. So
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. And what about you, Rachel?
Let's see. I've not made a tincture, like a wildcrafted tincture. I've, walked around the property here in Montana and maybe picked some dandelions and, done some fun things. But I've always, worked in, well, not always, but for a long time worked in a manufacturing facility that works with the herbs. So if I want to play with anything, I've got the resources here to do it.
Yeah,
So,
you just go get them. Well, then, do you have a favorite herb?
right now it is butterfly pea flower that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been having before bed almost every night. And then I have it during the day too, and it doesn't make me tired, but it just gives a really nice calming and grounding feel. So
Mhm.
that's kind of a new herb that I've introduced. And it's just so pretty and it's so fun. It makes the water so blue. And then if you add like some lemon juice or something, it boom turns into purple. So I've been wowing my kids, with that. It's kind of like a little party trick, a nice clean party trick. Other than that, I do a lot of like peppermint teas.
Mhm. And Kaitlyn, do you have a favorite herb that you've been working with?
I'll say that this one may be a little bit
Okay.
controversial at this time. I've been really, really into kava right
Oh,
now. We made a kava extract for one of our customers.
nice.
I've just noticed it's really, really nice for my nervous system.
Mhm.
And I don't take much at all. It's just like one dropper full. That's all you really need. And I've been very happy with just how its effects on my body.
Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure why it's controversial because I'm a big fan of kava. If I am gonna use it, I you don't need much, and it is kind of a lovely feeling. So, is there
Mhm.
something going on with kava that I'm unaware of? It's possible that I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, but Cabo is one of the ones that Jenny, who's one of our food inspectors, but she brought it to our attention that the FDA is kind of all over kava right now
Oh.
in terms of some people maybe just like overusing
Mm,
it or abusing it for its effects because it can be a little bit more psychoactive.
mm.
So if you take it in larger doses, I think it's just you know, can affect your biology in a way a little bit.
Just
My
like
understanding.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Yeah,
My
Sorry,
yeah,
Rachel.
everything.
understanding is that it's under review with the FDA because, if you take it in large doses, it is a bit of a muscle relaxer, and it could
Mhm.
affect you slightly if you're driving, depending on how much you take. So I believe they're because of safety, they're regulating it or investigating it to put under regulations, and it's become very popular. I've been to some kava bars,
Mhm.
which is so fun. So hopefully there won't be too many regulations on it because I love kava too. It's a great herb.
It really is, and so I think the bottom line is don't overdo the things, people, so we can keep nice things.
Right.
Come on. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to golden seal because it is still my favorite herb, but I will say my next question, it also is the answer for my next question, which is what do you think is the grossest tasting herb? This is for all the 5 and 6-year-old little boys out there.
I have to say golden seal as well, not just because you said it, but definitely. I mean, I've worked with it in manufacturing and even just, I'm wearing a mask as we do and to follow, current good manufacturing practices. And there's just little dust that kicks up, and that taste is alone is disgusting.
Oh, well, I've never tried golden seal, so
Oh,
maybe I'll have to. And
oh,
I honestly, Missy, I don't think I can answer this question because I've never experienced an herb where I was just like turned off by it.
nice.
I like all the herbs I've worked with, but I've never experienced golden
That's
seal, so I can't say.
awesome. Well, I grew up with a mom who and I'm so grateful for it, but she treated us with herbs and homeopathy, but man, golden seal was the one, and it was like if you had a sniffle, a sore throat, she was like, "Open up," and in went the golden seal tincture, and it was not glycerin based, and let me tell you, that I mean, I can take anything. When people are like, "Oh, this is kinda gross," I'm like, "Oh, I got you. I took golden seal as a kid. I got this." So, we always I'm the oldest of 6 kids, and we always wished for, like, the grape or cherry flavored medicine, but no, we got the herbs, which is probably why we're so healthy. For anybody who's listening who doesn't know about golden seal, take a minute to read about it. It is one of nature's magic medicines. It is phenomenal. It, like, heals all the things. Pretty incredible, and in a wound or, like I said, the umbilicus of a newborn, incredible. Let's shift gears for just a second. And I just want to hear a little bit more about you guys and like what book or books are sitting on your bedside table right now? Like, you don't need to curate it. I don't care if it's spicy, weird, totally unexpected. Just throw it out there.
I have 2. So I've got an audiobook that I'm listening to right now. It's called The Mastery of Self.
Oh,
Basically, the title just explains
yeah.
what it is. It's learning more about yourself, about unconditional love for yourself and for others, and how that ultimately leads to personal freedom.
Love.
And then the other book that I'm reading physically is on Ayurveda. I had mentioned earlier, so
Yeah.
I'm learning more about they're called the different doshas
Mhm.
and the constitutional types that we each have, and how to work with your body with different foods, different practices to just be more in balance.
That's awesome. So you're going nonfiction right now.
Nonfiction. I have been nonfiction for quite a while, but I just like learning about everything. And then I think there will be a time when I transition back to fiction here pretty soon, probably. So
Awesome. And what about you, Rachel?
So I've got 3 on my nightstand right now. One of them is called The Living Language of Water by Veda Austin, nonfiction. it studies water and its expression. And she basically has a freezing technique where in between like the state of ice and water, so it's kind of slushy state, it actually expresses itself. And it can be, showing more of like pictures or even letters or whatnot, but it's just super fascinating. I love it. If you're into that kind of thing, check it out. Another one is a translation of the Emerald Tablets. And then my other one is the Bible. So you can kind of see it's all like philosophical type thing.
Yeah.
A nerd for all the different philosophies. I just love diving into all the different, ways of thinking and kind of finding the common threads and everything and pulling out what speaks to me. And yeah. And then I do have one audiobook I'm listening to right now, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's a great like self-growth type of book that a mutual friend of mine and Kaitlyn's has recommended. And it's definitely shifted some things for me. So
Oh, I love it. Well, you guys are all really filling your brains with good stuff right now. I have just hit a fiction flood recently. I always had nonfiction next to my bed forever and ever, felt like I always needed to be learning. And then I read somewhere or heard on a podcast that if you add in some fiction, it helps with your creativity. And I was like, "I don't know. I think that's kind of bunk, but I'll grab a fiction book and start again, after I feel like decades of only reading nonfiction." And what I realized was it's so fun. And I don't have to finish a book if it's lame, if I don't love it. So I have currently a book that I'm very impressed with called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And I can't remember the author's name. But it is very well written. I've been reading some garbage books for sure, like garbage fiction. I call it dragon porn. I don't know, Fourth Wing, I read that. It's not very well written, but it's entertaining. And so it's fun. And I didn't even finish it. So I was like, okay, I don't have to finish this. So that's kind of fun and freeing as a mom and as a business owner to not feel so much like I have to leave this on my bedside table till I finish it. I could just put it back at the book exchange. I do have a nonfiction book next to my bed too. I think it's called On Dying by Atul Gawande. And I don't know if I'm saying his name right. He talks about how we die in society. And I'm really fascinated with that. And that came from a friend of mine, Alan in Moab. Hi, Alan. And so I'm still working through that one. But I want to say it's inspired by a book that I read that was written in the 50s. Jessica Mitford is the author, and she wrote two books, one on the industry of death, and then one on the industry of birth. And they were both written in the 50s, and they are phenomenal books, and they are very eye-opening to all of that. And those two books are what started me kind of on my track of radical autonomy and then working in midwifery where we support radical autonomy in women in their birthing, growing a baby and then birthing process and postpartum. So that's kind of a full circle for me with my books. So I love hearing what everybody's reading and filling their minds with. So thank you so much, Kaitlyn and Raychel. This has been such a nourishing conversation. I love how you're blending science, soul, and sisterhood into something that women actually want to use and be a part of your community. Where's the best place for listeners to connect with you, check out Cool Queen, or learn more about your community, check out your skits? And then also, if you could talk to us a little bit about your free product trial as well.
So it's at Bad B Botanicals for Instagram and Facebook. We also have a TikTok that will be up soon.
Yeah, and for anyone who's interested in joining our free product trial, we're wanting to give Cool Queen away for completely free to women to try in exchange for honest feedback on the formula. And we'll be giving them a 30-day supply of Cool Queen, and you can apply via the link that Missy's going to put in the show notes. And there you'll, give a little bit of information about yourself. You'll also complete our pre-trial survey. So just answering some questions about your symptoms. And that just gives us a good baseline of where you are at currently. And then once the 30 days are over, we'll send you a post-trial survey to answer some more questions about how the product worked, if any of your symptoms were alleviated or had lessened from Cool Queen. So we're just kind of wanting to gather some data on how the formula works.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I hope my listeners hop over there and check you ladies out and your products. My lovelies, thank you for being here today, getting smarter and taking back your autonomy one bit of information at a time. I'm so proud of you. And if you want the people around you to join you on this quest, please share this pod with them. Leave a rating and review too. And until next time, be well.
Thank you for joining me here today on the Menopause Midwife. If you'd like more information or to work with me, feel free to check out my website and book a wellness consultation at ohm406.com. Be well.